okay now, but initially I wasn't doing okay at all.
I am doing okay. I am definitely doing a lot better than I was in the beginning of the lockdown.
I'm a mess. I'm generally okay, but I'm losing my mind. I'm going crazy.
I'm actually doing okay. Thanks for asking.
So right now I'm great. Like I'm feeling good right now. Things are better now.
Not too much has changed about my life, but obviously because of COVID, there's a lot less to do.
If I'm being honest, I'm really okay. I can't complain about anything. I'm okay. Basically, I'm just okay.
If anything happens for long enough, you get used to it. Like if you're on lockdown for an indefinite period of time where you don't even know when you're gonna come out, you're gonna end up getting used to it. So I'm fine.
I'm okay. I'm doing fine relatively considering the circumstances that we're currently under.
I'm doing well given the situation. I'm quarantining by myself, literally self-isolation.
In the beginning of the quarantine and the lockdown, I allowed myself to feel all the emotions: fear, anxiety, worry, confusion. I just allowed myself to feel everything that I wanted to feel and just go through the motions.
I've had my fair share of anxiety, if I may call it that.
I'm doing okay. I'm doing way better than I was in the first 2 weeks, so that's something. I'm a lot less anxious than I am on a usual basis when I have work and everything else going on. So it's just been very interesting.
Fear and anxiety is a part of the human experience, and we can't rob ourselves of that. So I allowed myself to go through that, but because I'm an emotional person, I created a schedule. So I'm on a very strict schedule. I wake up about 5 in the morning. I get things done. I'm just keeping myself as busy and as occupied and productive, not just busy, productive as possible, so that I'm not just kind of focusing on where we are right now and what we're going through.
Given that we are close to our second month, I can't just be shooting on 100 every single day. So I've had days where I feel like, hi guys, and then and then on some days I just feel like, yeah, it's getting to me.
I'm doing good, I guess. I just miss going out and meeting people, but I'm usually an indoor person, so I feel fine.
This has certainly been an interesting experience. I identify myself as an introvert, and even though self-isolation is pretty much a norm by now, there's a certain edge to it when it is not by choice.
Loving myself.
I think I initially struggled with, trying to work out what is actually happening right now in the world. Is there, what's killing the people? Are people getting a genuine illness from China, from Wuhan, or something fishy is going on? Is there some dark thing happening here? Is there some sort of biological warfare? What is happening? That really did my head in, and I got, like, I felt like I'm going to depression almost. Like I was so fearful of what is going on, and so fearful of potentially catching the disease.
We don't have windows in the apartment. It's like when you build an apartment, like a building, and then inside that building you get like space to build another building inside of a building. It's very confusing, but basically we don't have windows, so I only get to see the sun when I go to buy groceries. And since we started this whole lockdown circus, I only bought groceries like twice, so I've only seen the sun like twice.
Initially, I was struggling with the fact that I lost my job due to COVID-19 temporarily. So it was just the frustration of just worrying about how am I going to pay rent, how am I going to buy groceries, how long is this going to last, what's going to happen. So it hit me really hard in the beginning, I guess mostly because of that.
At the moment, academics, I feel like because of COVID-19, a lot of my lectures have been putting like a lot of pressure on us in terms of like the amount of work that we have to do.
One of my greatest struggles is preventions. Like, have we actually it messes with my brain. I keep thinking, have we done everything we could have done in the beginning when we first caught whiff of what's happening? Did the government act in accordance? Like, have we all tried to do the best we can to prevent? I'm looking at countries like Lesotho where the borders were closed ahead of time. I think that's really good, and I just think if we had done that, if we had stopped flights coming in and out sooner, if we had really just got a grip on it earlier, what would life be like? How many more cases would we have? Would the cases decrease? Would they still be the same? So I think prevention is something that really I'm struggling with.
Not having to see my friends. Since I'm a student, we don't have parents where they can go out and get food for us. We have to go out on our own and look for food. Yeah. So that was one of the main challenge that we had.
I would say anxiety right now that I have to stay in the house, like not voluntarily, and the fact that I'm pregnant, it affects most of the things, because sometimes I just want to go to a restaurant and have, you know, breakfast or dinner or lunch or just meet friends. Now I'm always with my husband, stuck in the house. We can't meet anyone else. We just the two of us all the time. It is good to be together, but sometimes we need people. Everyone needs people. I need to go out with friends.
Oh, at first I thought I was gonna die here because I didn't understand what was going on. I really thought like I'd never see my family again. I still sometimes think, you know, there's a bit of uncertainty, but yeah, I struggled with thinking that I might not make it out of this alive.
Yeah.
The future. What would the future look like? You know, we're so used to those little things that we do as humans. The fact that when you see your friend, you will hug them, and when you see your gogo, you'll kiss her. Like, it's just all of that stuff. What will life look like once the lockdown is lifted? It's a struggle. It's something that I'm looking forward to, because I feel like life should move on eventually. But it wrecks my brain. It wrecks my brain. So,
I mean, for me, and I think for many of you guys, because I am a student, my priority now is to be productive academically, and that's what I'm struggling with, because I have looked back at my progress, and it's not as much as I would like it to be, and it's not as much as I know it would be if I was still going to school every day. I mean, focusing and being productive.
Keeping sane has definitely been a struggle for me. I think there's a common belief that there's never enough time, and today, having been afforded all the time in the world, we're harshly confronted by the reality of how much control we have over our time and how we use it. And the struggle for me is not putting myself under too much pressure and strain of achieving each and every single thing that I've ever wanted, but just could not get to doing because of all the other commitments that I've had before the lockdown was implemented.
The thing that I've been struggling with the most is being away from my family. Currently, my mother and my brother are in South Africa, and I am here all on my own, which I usually love, until there is coronavirus. Then the panic had definitely set in. Being away from my family has been the hardest. That and not knowing what's gonna happen next has been driving me a little crazy.
You're cooking every day.
Yeah, the hardest part was cooking every day.
The dishes.
Hey, like waking up. The day seems so short, you know, at the same time so long, because where you wake up and you start cooking
and there's nothing to do.
And there's nothing to do after that. But as soon as the day is like, you know, finished, you now realize that we have to do the same thing again tomorrow, you know.
Not being able to go out. Of course, I love being indoors. I live most of my life indoors, but it hits different when you're forced to do it. When it's forced upon you, it just hits different. So the inability to go out and just do your errands is a bit uncomfortable. So I think that's probably the only thing that's uncomfortable for me.
The hardest part for me is that I'm far from home, and obviously I talk to my family. I talk to my mother a lot, almost every day, but I worry for them, and she worries for me also. She's always telling me, well, you should put on a mask or stuff like that. And I'm always telling her, listen, just because there's no cases yet, or there are no cases yet, doesn't mean anything. Keep taking care of yourself. And my mom is a pretty, she takes care of herself.
Not be able to meet up with friends over coffee, or go visit, or have people over. I love entertaining, I love hosting people. So I'm struggling with not being able to have people come to my house or visit anybody.
Being creative, because most of the videos that I enjoy doing are like things about like going to different places and stuff, and also the chill cast that I've been doing with my friends that I can't do anymore because of social distancing.
I miss church. I just miss us having a life, going to movies.
Human contact. I never realized how important it is to me to be able to touch someone, to be able to hug someone, to be able to affirm someone, to be able to give someone a high five. I have students that I work with. I work with children that are vulnerable, and sometimes someone needs a hug from time to time. Someone needs a high five from time to time.
Having a limit to what you can do outdoors, and of course going shopping, always worried you might catch something, always worried someone will cough on you, always worried about those things. The hardest thing is just being indoors, but thankfully, I've been with my family and we quite enjoy each other's company, so it has not been a nightmare, as much a nightmare as it would be, I can imagine, for people who live alone.
And I think for me it's just the whole paranoia of the situation, having to take so much precaution for the sake of your safety. Even just taking trash out, you have to think twice about it, because you're just thinking, who is walking through these corridors and where have they been? So it's just that whole paranoia that I have to wear gloves, I have to wear a mask, I have to sanitize, I have to... It's too much. It's all the right things, but we're not used to them to that extent. We should probably just continue doing them, but we're not used to them to that extent, so it's just a little annoying.
I guess maybe conversing with like people that like that can understand me, like even if it's people that speak English, would be so much better. But the people I stay with here, they don't speak a word of English. So I have to constantly try to speak Spanish, and it gets frustrating at the point, because I can only speak so much. Like, yeah.
Being forced to stay inside. The only time you go outside is when you want to buy groceries or essentials, I should just put it that way. So it's not easy. It always feels good when you do it voluntarily.
I'm not at work at the moment, so the fact that I could actually be in a room with people sharing ideas and I'm isolated, it's a struggle. It's a huge struggle.
Sure. The hardest part about the lockdown has been sustaining and maintaining relationships. Human beings are social creatures, and there's only so much connection you can conjure through technological devices or social media as a whole.
And also sometimes I struggle with guilt. I've realized as of recent, I've actually been struggling with guilt. Whenever I feel that I'm having a really good time in the quarantine, or I'm enjoying the day a bit too much, like I feel guilty, because I'm thinking someone is having respiratory issues right now. Someone's laid up in a hospital fighting for their life right now. Someone's lost a family member that they'll never see them again. That's it. Someone's lost a job. They don't have money. Someone is, sleeping. It's hard.
Each time I go shopping, I feel like I'm going to the war zone. My daughter wanted to come with me the other day, and I was like, no, please don't come. Because I was just thinking, I don't know, like, I know what to do when I get there. You get a plastic bag, a vegetable plastic bag, you put it on the trolley. At least they have sanitizers, and they have wipes as well, which they don't always have. I wipe off the trolley, I put the plastic bag over the trolley handle, and then I make sure I'm standing 1.5 meters away from people. So it's quite a lot that's involved. I think I probably am paranoid, even though I don't feel paranoid, because at the start I felt paranoid. Like I felt really like I was so uneasy about everything.
I think I am, especially if I see someone coughing or sneezing. I always get paranoid, especially because now I'm pregnant and I'm sharing my immune system with somebody, and it's not easy ignoring things. I have to be very careful, and usually when we go for grocery shopping, sometimes my husband just advises me to stay in the car and he will handle everything just so I don't come in contact with people.
I have been paranoid about possibly getting the virus because the few times that I'd been out to re-up on my groceries, because I wasn't panic purchasing nothing, a lot of people didn't seem to understand why we had to social distance. They felt that Corona, Basotho, that could never ever happen. We don't travel. That's something that people with money that go everywhere around the world will get, and they better not get into the country because yeah, the ignorance around it made me feel very, very anxious.
Absolutely. However, I'm doing my best to be safe, and I'm trusting that God will shield me.
Not really. I'm not paranoid about the risk of getting COVID-19. At the moment, there hasn't been like any new cases here in northern Cyprus, so yeah, the risk of me getting corona are very like little.
I wouldn't say that I'm paranoid by the chances of contracting the virus, and I don't think that it's something that I can afford to be fixated on. The best that I can do is be compliant to the lockdown rules and regulations and hope for the best.
I'm actually not very paranoid. I'm actually very chilled with it. Like, I don't have any stress whatsoever. I'm very isolated from other people, and I'm not planning to go out anytime soon, although I'm like losing my mind.
Well, yeah, I was paranoid, especially when I go out. Yeah, in the beginning, especially when I go out to go get food in the supermarkets, you find a lot of people there, and sometimes you try to hold your breath even though you have a mask on.
The only thing that I would say I might be paranoid about is because there's other things that I want to do, obviously, outside lockdown, but I guess that's everyone's standpoint. So the only thing I guess I'm paranoid about is if they extend it. I've heard rumors that this might go on like for the rest of the year, or at least until September when they find a vaccine.
I remember like anytime we'd go to the supermarket, I'd start getting hot in the supermarket, so I was like, you're paranoid a bit.
Because there'll be a lot of people in the supermarket. So everyone want to stock up on food, so there'll be a lot of people in there, and you just worry like, hey.
In the beginning, I was, because I used to have issues with my immune system. I had anemia and chronic anemia at that, so it was difficult. So I was a bit worried that that's something that, you know, could add on if I ever contracted corona.
Honestly, no. I don't think I am. And why don't I think I'm paranoid? Because we are on lockdown, my residence is on lockdown, no one is going out, no one is coming in. So that means we are safe because there's no movement whatsoever. So we're all good. So I'm not panicking at all.
I'm more concerned about my other family members that are on the front line, who are in the healthcare system, who are working as key workers and are dealing with more people at a time, and you know, I'm more worried about them. But for myself, I think I live somewhere that's really isolated. I'm following all the guidelines. I'm doing the best I can to keep myself safe.
And I'm not really paranoid because I live in a city that is not so crowded, so for me that is okay. And other than that, I really try to take care of myself. I bought alcohol, 70% alcohol to take care of myself. I bought sanitizers. I bought every single thing that you can think of just to make sure that at least I remain clean. I haven't been out very often So again, I try to minimize my chances of getting it. I live in an apartment, and obviously elevators and door handles, so I really make sure that after handling all those, I come back to my place and I wash my hands, and I don't interact with a lot of people that stay in my apartment.
This week the children are going back to school, so yeah, there's a bit of a worry about them, getting it from the schoolmates or bringing it here, or us. I don't know. I mean, even now, like, I think my husband and I have a bit of a cold that's like coming. I don't know what's happening. I was sneezing earlier, and now I've been like, so I've been, each time you think like that, even now he just made the joke, it's like, oh, now corona, it's like, yeah. So I think paranoia is definitely there a little bit, because anytime you feel sort of like coldish symptoms, even though we're going into winter, so it's absolutely normal for us to, to be getting colds and stuff. But when you get something similar to that, goodness, yeah, you're already thinking, oh no. But I don't feel fearful though, because so many people are surviving here in Australia anyway.
Yes, my old landlord and his wife got infected with the virus. I sent him an email, I think 2 or 3 days ago, just checking on him, and he hasn't responded, and that's worrying me a lot. One of my colleagues also passed away due to COVID-19.
We had a scare. My son had just before the lockdown, I think that weekend of the 22nd, they went on a party bus at night, and then he just got this flu after that. Oh my days, we were so scared. We had to keep him in his room. And I was crying because I couldn't go in there. I was asking my husband, can I go give him a hug? He's like, no. We had to be bringing food, not allowing him to come downstairs. Oh, that was quite a scare. That was not nice. That was just horrible.
Yes, unfortunately, a really, really close friend of mine lost her father, and it was such a short window that he was taken from her. Basically, she explained it as on Sunday, her dad was with her. He fell a little bit ill. He just came over from Ghana, and so he went to the GP on Monday, and they then got transferred to a hospital. They weren't too sure what it was, but by Thursday he was gone.
Well, about that,
us, no, I've never knowingly had coronavirus.
Yeah, I never personally, known anybody like that, but I heard about it. I heard one of foreign student had it, but I heard he's fine now, and it's back to normal.
And then another really close aunt of mine contracted it, but luckily her story was a success story. She was able to get the help that she needed from the NHS, and is recovering at the moment. She's home, she's fine. She's just quarantining to make sure that she keeps herself safe, but she has been cleared to even go out, so we thank God for that.
Fortunately, no one I know has been affected or infected by the virus. I have an uncle who is currently in London. He was the one who I was scared for the most, actually, and he's been social distancing since he heard about the outbreak, and he's been working from home because they were also in lockdown. So I think he was the one that I was paranoid for and scared for the most. And the friends that I've reached out to that are overseas have been abiding by all the rules and regulations that currently govern us, and thank God they are safe.
I think that's what made it real for me. In the beginning, I was a little bit skeptical because sometimes the media creates a moral panic, and sometimes you doubt that the figures that are given are actual. In fact, like 600 people are actually dying in a day, or because of coronavirus. So I think it made it more real for me when people close to me started contracting it and losing family members.